In another time, when the world was powered by the black fuel and the desert sprouted great cities of pipe and steel, two mighty tribes went to war and touched off a blaze which engulfed them all. Only those mobile enough to scavenge or brutal enough to pillage would survive. In this maelstrom of decay, ordinary men were battered and smashed, but among the truly ruthless, a few saw a vision of a new world rising from the ashes of the old. One such man would become known as Immortan Joe, and he would rule an empire from atop his mighty citadel. How exactly Immortan Joe was able to seize the three great rock towers of the Citadel has been long forgotten, replaced by the type of myth and legend that has grown common in the wasteland. It is said that even as the ruins of the old world still smoldered, he led an attack to seize the Citadel from whichever tribe had first claimed it. Where his band of warriors failed, he alone brought victory, winning the title of the Immortal Man, Immortan Joe. This triumph earned him far more than just a title, however, for the Citadel stood atop a great reserve of water, and by controlling it, he transformed himself into a divine figure across the wasteland. The mad and the desperate flocked to this stronghold, becoming Joe's workers and soldiers. The three towering rock columns of the Citadel were imbued with specific purpose as this new society took shape. The first among these held control over the aquifer, and it was here that Immortan Joe built his headquarters. It maintained a level of luxury beyond even the most fevered dreams of the average wastelander. Fresh water available on command, hydroponic gardens, fruits and vegetables, and even the last remnants of knowledge from the old world. Above all, however, was the biodome, home to Joe's 5 wives, who were used as breeding stock to create a viable heir. The second rock tower held what might have been considered the middle class: mechanics, medics, and tradespeople whose skills had earned them a place of value in the wasteland. It also housed a gruesome form of blood bank, where captives were taken to be used as blood bags for the Citadel's warriors. The last of the towers held the workers, slave laborers with arduous lives cut mercifully short. It is they who kept the wheels of industry turning and the great elevator in operation. At the very bottom of this hierarchy were the wretched, the mass of malnourished, sick, and homeless people who crowded the base of each tower in the hope of finding a better life. They were kept in line by the promise of water, granted only sparingly at the discretion of Immortan Joe. The rule of this empire expanded outwards from the Citadel and encompassed several other great settlements that helped complete Joe's monopoly on the other two necessary resources of the wasteland, gasoline and bullets. In Gastown, a warlord known as the People Eater was appointed mayor and ruled in Immortan Joe's stead. Constantly drenched in a pervasive black smog, Gastown provided fuel for the Citadel's war rigs and entertainment in the form of a gladiatorial arena reminiscent of the legendary and infamous Thunderdome. Likewise, an old ally of Joe's, known as the Bullet Farmer, presided over a refurbished lead mine, producing small arms, gunpowder, and ammunition. This triumvirate was kept intact by an endless series of convoys, which transported resources back and forth between the Citadel, Gastown, and the Bullet Farm across what its drivers named the Fury Road. Protecting these convoys was the work of the Citadel's loyal corps of war boys. These were Immortan Joe's soldiers and servants, hand-picked from the wretched at an early age as war pups, given new names and indoctrinated to become completely loyal, blindly following any command. Dyed completely white in emulation of Immortan Joe's own appearance, war pups were trained in all things mechanical, building vehicles and weapons as rev heads or black thumbs. Those that survived long enough to become full-fledged warboys were given special markings which included black-rimmed eyes and dyed mouths and skulls depending on their rank. Imperators, Immortan Joe's most trusted war chiefs, were marked by black mechanical grease and entrusted with the deadliest war rigs. In battle, the war boys assembled a fleet of heavily customized vehicles and were consumed by an overwhelming fatalistic ferocity, a central tenet of their religion, the cult of V8. Immortan Joe acted as the patriarchal and immortal god figure within the cult, and was said to be the only one capable of granting access to the afterlife of Valhalla. Other religious artifacts held tremendous importance as well, with special significance given to the V8 engine. The V8 was said to be the source of the War Boy's strength and power, a conduit between the wasteland and Valhalla. Each practitioner was also bound to a personalized steering wheel, placed on the altar of the cult when not in use, and removed when called to war in order to symbiotically connect the War Boy with their vehicle. Beset by cancer and other ailments typical in the wasteland, War Boys acknowledged they lived a half-life and despised the idea of dying soft, preferring instead to sacrifice themselves in glorious battle on the Fury Road. If a War Boy believed their death was near, or they became overwhelmed with a suicidal frenzy, they would spray themselves with chrome paint and ask their brothers to witness their sacrifice before entering Valhalla shiny and chrome. For a time, Immortan Joe's empire stood as a savage example of the type of civilization that flourished in the wasteland, but his rule would not last forever. Imperator Furiosa, the greatest of his drivers, betrayed him, stealing a war rig and taking with her Joe's 5 wives. Across the Fury Road, Furiosa was pursued by Immortan Joe, who led his entire army of war boys alongside his allies from Gastown and the Bullet Farm. Attacks from the rival Buzzards and Rock Rider gangs helped Furiosa in her escape, and she disappeared into the wasteland. Yet in some display of madness or bravery, Furiosa returned to the Citadel alongside a wanderer from the wasteland. Whoever this road warrior was, he was a driver of remarkable skill, and through his and Furiosa's efforts, the war boys were smashed on the Fury Road with Immortan Joe himself killed. When Furiosa and the Wanderer returned to the Citadel with Joe's body, the myth of his invincibility was shattered, and his cult vanished in an instant. Furiosa ascended to the top of the Citadel, and the water that had been so long denied was now given freely to all. As for the Road Warrior, he vanished back into the wasteland from whence he had come, and all that remains of him now are memories. The Templin Institute investigates alternate worlds and realities. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to directly support us, vote in polls to determine future topics, and receive some cool rewards, please consider pledging to our Patreon page.